Welcome. Today we're diving into the world of non-disclosure agreements, or NDAs, with a special focus on the XONJX framework. NDAs are legal contracts designed to protect sensitive information shared between parties. Whether you're a business owner, a franchisee, or a partner, understanding how NDAs work is crucial for safeguarding proprietary data, trade secrets, and intellectual property. In this video, we'll break down the key elements, obligations, and unique features of the XONJX NDA, making complex legal language accessible and practical. Let's get started by exploring what makes an NDA essential in today's business landscape. Before we dive into the NDA itself, let's clarify what XONJX represents. XONJX is a multifaceted organization operating in clinical research, education, and intellectual property management. It's protected by federal copyright law, trade secret statutes, and international treaties. The XONJX NDA is not just a standard confidentiality agreement. It's a comprehensive legal instrument that integrates operational, educational, and spiritual frameworks. This means the NDA covers a wide range of confidential information, from business strategies to clinical research data and proprietary spiritual doctrines. The primary purpose of the XONJX NDA is to establish a confidential relationship between the disclosing party and the receiving party. This agreement ensures that sensitive information, whether related to clinical research, business operations, or spiritual practices, is not disclosed or used for any purpose other than what's explicitly authorized. By signing, all parties agree to uphold the integrity and confidentiality of XONJX's proprietary assets, protecting the organization's competitive advantage and spiritual mission. Confidential information under the XONJX NDA is defined broadly. It includes business plans, financial data, technical information like software code and algorithms, intellectual property, personal data, and proprietary documentation. Even oral or visual disclosures can be considered confidential if the nature of the information or the context makes it clear. This comprehensive definition ensures that all valuable assets, whether tangible or intangible, are protected under the agreement. Receiving party has several key obligations under the XONJX NDA. They must maintain confidentiality, use the information only for authorized purposes, and never disclose it to unauthorized third parties. Access should be restricted to those with a legitimate need to know, and all representatives must be bound by similar confidentiality terms. If any unauthorized use or breach occurs, the receiving party must immediately notify the disclosing party and cooperate fully to mitigate any harm. Confidential information can only be used for the specific purpose outlined in the NDA, such as evaluating a business relationship or participating in a research initiative. Access is limited to employees, agents, or contractors who genuinely need the information and are bound by confidentiality obligations. This ensures that sensitive data is not misused or exposed to unnecessary risk. NDA strictly prohibits copying, reproducing, reverse engineering, or decompiling any confidential information without written consent. This is especially important for technical data, software, and proprietary processes. Any attempt to derive source code, algorithms, or underlying structures from XONJX materials is considered a serious breach and is subject to legal action. Upon request or at the end of the business relationship, the receiving party must promptly return or destroy all confidential information, including all copies, notes, and digital files. A written certification of destruction may be required. This ensures that sensitive data does not linger in unauthorized hands and remains protected even after the relationship ends. Not all information is covered by the NDA. Exclusions include information that is already public, rightfully received from a third party, independently developed, or required to be disclosed by law or court order. However, even in these cases, the receiving party must notify the disclosing party and cooperate to protect the information as much as possible. Duration of confidentiality obligations can vary. For most XONJX NDAs, confidentiality lasts for a set period, often 5 or 10 years, or indefinitely for trade secrets and spiritual doctrines. This long-term protection reflects the enduring value of XONJX's proprietary information and ensures that sensitive data remains secure for as long as it retains commercial or strategic importance. The NDA is breached, XONJX is entitled to seek immediate injunctive relief, such as court orders to stop further disclosure, without needing to prove actual damages. In addition, the disclosing party can pursue monetary damages, legal costs, and even punitive damages under intellectual property laws. These strong remedies underscore the seriousness of confidentiality breaches and the high value placed on proprietary information. Unique feature of the XONJX NDA is the incorporation by reference of a wide range of legal, operational, and spiritual documents. These IBR materials include governance documents, compliance protocols, trade secrets, and spiritual ordinances. By referencing these materials, the NDA creates a unified, enforceable framework that integrates civil, regulatory, and ecclesiastical protections for XONJX's asset. Scope of confidential information in the XONJX NDA is intentionally broad. It covers not only business and technical data, but also spiritual doctrines, educational content, and any information derived from IBR materials. This ensures that every aspect of XONJX's operations, commercial, intellectual, and spiritual, is protected from unauthorized use or disclosure. NDA requires the receiving party to implement robust security measures to protect confidential information. This includes password protection, encryption, restricted physical access, and regular security audits. All personnel must be trained in confidentiality protocols, ensuring that both digital and physical safeguards are in place to prevent unauthorized access or leaks. Not all confidential information is written. The XONJX NDA also covers oral and visual disclosures. If information is shared verbally or through observation, it should be promptly confirmed in writing as confidential. This ensures that all forms of sensitive information, regardless of how they are communicated, receive the same level of protection. NDA makes it clear that receiving confidential information does not grant the receiving party any ownership or license rights. All intellectual property, trade secrets, and proprietary data remain the exclusive property of XONJX. The receiving party is only permitted to use the information for the limited authorized purpose defined in the agreement. Neither party can assign or transfer their rights or obligations under the NDA without the other party's written consent. This prevents unauthorized third parties from gaining access to confidential information and ensures that only trusted, approved entities are involved in handling sensitive data. XONJX NDA specifies which states' laws govern the agreement and where any legal disputes must be resolved. Depending on the version, this could be Delaware, New York, Georgia, or Texas. This clarity helps both parties understand their legal rights and obligations and ensures that any disputes are handled in a mutually agreed-upon location. Signing the NDA does not create a partnership, joint venture, or employment relationship between the parties. Each party remains an independent contractor, and the NDA is solely for the purpose of protecting confidential information. This distinction is important for legal and operational clarity. The NDA is binding only on the parties who sign it. No other person or entity can claim rights or benefits under the agreement. This ensures that only the disclosing and receiving parties have the authority to enforce or interpret the NDA's terms. All confidential information is provided as is, with no warranties regarding its accuracy, completeness, or suitability for any particular purpose. The receiving party assumes all risks associated with using the information and cannot hold the disclosing party liable for any losses or damages resulting from its use. The receiving party agrees to indemnify and hold harmless the disclosing party against any claims, damages, or losses arising from misuse or unauthorized disclosure of confidential information. This includes covering legal fees and costs if the disclosing party has to enforce the NDA in court. If a legal dispute arises and one party prevails, that party is entitled to recover reasonable attorney's fees and litigation costs from the other party. This provision encourages compliance and discourages frivolous lawsuits by making the cost of breach clear. For a period after the NDA ends, the receiving party is prohibited from bypassing the disclosing party to do business directly with contacts introduced during the relationship. This prevents unfair competition and ensures the disclosing party benefits from its own business relationships. Distinctive aspect of the XONJX NDA is its integration of spiritual and ecclesiastical governance. Breaches may not only result in civil or criminal penalties, but also in ecclesiastical sanctions as determined by the XONJX Order of Melchizedek. This reflects the organization's commitment to both legal and spiritual accountability. NDA explicitly complies with federal and state whistleblower laws, including the Defend Trade Secrets Act. Individuals are protected when reporting suspected violations to authorities or in court filings under seal. No party can retaliate against someone exercising these legal rights, ensuring transparency and legal compliance. The NDA must be formally executed by authorized representatives of both parties. Electronic or facsimile signatures are considered valid, and the agreement may be signed in counterparts. This ensures the NDA is legally binding and enforceable from the moment it's signed. Let's look at some concrete examples of what counts as confidential information under the XONJX NDA. Business plans, financial statements, technical data, customer lists, proprietary software, research results, and even spiritual doctrines. If you're ever unsure, it's safer to treat information as confidential unless told otherwise. Sometimes, the disclosing party may share information received from third parties that is also confidential. The NDA requires the receiving party to treat this information with the same level of care, ensuring that all obligations extend to third-party data as well. When confidential information is destroyed, the receiving party may be required to provide a written certification, signed by an authorized officer, confirming that all materials have been properly disposed of. This adds an extra layer of accountability and ensures compliance with the NDA's terms. In some cases, the receiving party may retain a single archival copy of confidential information for legal or compliance purposes. However, this copy must remain confidential and cannot be used for any commercial purpose. The NDA's confidentiality obligations continue to apply to this archival material. NDA strictly forbids reverse engineering, decompiling, or disassembling any software or technical data received from XONJX. This is a critical safeguard for protecting proprietary technology and intellectual property, and any attempt to circumvent these protections is a material breach. The NDA makes it clear that no implied rights or licenses are granted to the receiving party. All rights, title, and interest in the confidential information remain with the disclosing party, even if the receiving party contributes feedback or suggestions. If the receiving party attempts to circumvent the disclosing party and do business directly with introduced contacts, the NDA provides for full compensation, including lost commissions or profits. This ensures that the disclosing party is not unfairly deprived of the benefits of its own relationships. Certain NDA obligations like indemnity, attorney's fees, and confidentiality survive even after the agreement ends. This means the receiving party must continue to protect confidential information and comply with key terms for years after the business relationship concludes. If any part of the NDA is found to be invalid or unenforceable, the rest of the agreement remains in effect. This ensures that a single problematic clause doesn't invalidate the entire contract, maintaining the integrity of the NDA's protections. Any changes to the NDA must be made in writing and signed by both parties. Verbal agreements or informal modifications are not valid. This formal process ensures that all parties are aware of and agree to any changes in their obligations. The NDA may be executed in multiple counterparts, each considered an original. Headings and subheadings are for convenience only and do not affect the interpretation of the agreement. These provisions streamline the signing process and clarify the document's structure. The XONJX NDA references several important laws and statutes, including the Economic Espionage Act, Uniform Trade Secrets Act, Berne Convention, and the Defend Trade Secrets Act. These references provide a legal backbone for enforcement and highlight the seriousness of protecting confidential information. Throughout the NDA, spiritual quotations from scriptures are used to reinforce the ethical and moral foundations of confidentiality. These references serve as reminders that protecting sensitive information is not just a legal duty, but also a matter of personal and organizational integrity. Comply with the NDA, always mark confidential documents clearly, restrict access to authorized personnel, use secure storage and communication methods, and train your team on confidentiality protocols. Promptly report any suspected breaches and cooperate fully with investigations. These best practices help ensure you meet your obligations and protect both your interests and those of XONJX. Breaching the NDA can have serious consequences, including legal action, financial penalties, loss of business opportunities, and even spiritual or ecclesiastical sanctions. The NDA's remedies are designed to deter violations and ensure that all parties take their confidentiality obligations seriously. Sum up, the XONJX NDA is a robust, multi-layered agreement designed to protect a wide range of confidential information. It integrates legal, operational, and spiritual safeguards and imposes strict obligations on all parties. By understanding and following its terms, you help preserve the integrity, innovation, and mission of XONJX. Confidentiality is the cornerstone of trust in any business or organizational relationship. The XONJX NDA goes above and beyond to ensure that sensitive information is protected at every level. By respecting these agreements, you contribute to a culture of integrity, innovation, and mutual respect. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the XONJX NDA. Thank you for watching. If you have questions about NDAs or want to learn more about XONJX's legal and operational frameworks, reach out to your legal advisor or XONJX's compliance team. Remember, confidentiality is everyone's responsibility. Stay informed, stay protected, and help build a secure future for all.